Greetings everyone, my name is Greg. In this video I am going to talk about the 7 laws of Noah. I had talked about this before and it was something I had said I would cover, and these are things that I want to cover in more depth with Mark, but I wanted to get these out of the way, and there's 2 different versions that I'm going to share with you. The first is the one that I have, to use the term, the least problem with. That being this one. And just to start from the top, number 1, do not worship idols. I don't worship a goddamn thing. The number 2, marry to have children. Well, I'm not married, so in a sense it doesn't matter. And in that regard, I had said, because of growing up with a mother that was verbally abusive, I had decided as a kid that I didn't want to have kids unless I could be certain, 100% certain, that I wouldn't do to them what my mom did to me, which is verbally abuse, verbally tear them apart. And it's just one, it's ended up in my life that it seems I'm not going to have kids at all, and that is fine with me. But will I get married? Maybe, but the aspect of having children is not going to happen. Do not commit adultery. Well, that can't happen unless you're married, so in a sense it doesn't matter. That to me is 2 and 3 would be redundant. 4, do not consume blood. Well, that goes in line with what I had covered with the aspect of Leviticus 17:10 through 14. And yeah, I'm not one that does this vampire shit. So the aspect of consuming blood, it also raises, and I find it a bit ironic that Christians will say that Satanists are about drinking blood. I've known Satanists, and my former business partner and former friend is a theistic Satanist, and I never heard him say anything about drinking blood. I have friends that are Satanists, and I've never heard any of them mention anything about drinking blood. The ones that I do hear about the aspect of drinking blood type of thing in the sense of symbology is Christians with their communion shit. I wasn't raised Catholic, but the Eucharist, the idea that a priest says a blessing over the fucking wafers and wine, and it literally becomes the body and blood of this Jesus, that type of notion would be a sin, to use that term, in the laws of Noah. And these laws are what are termed universal. They supposedly apply to everybody. Number 5, I have no problem with. Do not steal, obviously. Number 6, do not murder. I could say obviously, or for both of those, basically don't be an asshole. And even for the last 3, don't bear false witness. Basically, don't be an asshole. I don't really have a problem with those, with the universal laws. This is the one that I have a bit more problem with. The number 1, being faithful to God, fuck you. If a God wants me to believe in it, it has to prove that it exists. I'm not going to believe or be faithful to anything that I don't have any proof that it exists. Then number 2, respect and integrity of the family. Now the aspect with number 1, they have the prohibition of idol worship. And I would point out the worship of Jesus is worshiping an idol, because it is by Jesus' own mouth. He is not the God of the Bible. because he referred to God as his father. Well, then, to worship Jesus is to worship an idol, which means if these are supposedly universal laws, Christians break that, number one, on a daily basis. Their entire religion is based on it. But number two, respect and integrity of the family, the prohibition of improper relations, and I have a bit of an issue, not that it would affect me personally, it wouldn't, but the aspect of it mentions homosexuality in there. I look at it as what two consenting adults do in the privacy of their own home is their own fucking business. If a God would exist and wouldn't like it, don't fucking watch. It doesn't involve you. It's none of your goddamn business. Don't be a peeper. But the aspect of bestiality, yeah, leave animals alone, and children, leave them the fuck alone. Respect of human life, prohibition of murder, okay, fine. Respect of God. That's my attitude with respecting God. Basically, to this God, prove you exist. And even beyond that, I'm not going to respect something that conducts itself the way the God of the Bible does in that fucking book. That's my attitude as far as respecting God. It would be my attitude same as the respecting Kim Jong-un or respect Hitler, right here. That's my attitude with those. The respect others' property, no stealing, okay, fine. Law and order, establish courts of law, no problem. I would add just courts, not kangaroo courts or stupid bullshit, the like witch trials type of thing. That's not just. Just because you establish courts doesn't mean that the courts are going to be operating in a just manner. That's where I would include the term just. This last one is really what I want to draw your attention to. Prohibition of eating a limb taken from a live animal. How much of a fucking problem was this? I mean, seriously. Were these people going around being, oh, I don't need the whole cow, I just want a part of its leg or part of its side? Are you fucking kidding? This is something I want to ask Mark. The aspect of how big a fucking problem was this? Or is this number 7 aspect even other than maybe like the respect of living creatures? Okay, fine, but how does that mean taking a limb off of a living animal? But what I also think is interesting is it has that, the not taking a limb off of a living animal there on that one, but doesn't have the don't consume blood. I don't see how, if these laws of Noah were saying, and I could see where it would say, where this would be a more accurate list with the aspect of do not consume blood, because that I can point to myself with Leviticus 17:10 through 14. Okay, fine. I've seen that. I've gone established, yeah, that's there. What I have not found is this idea of taking a limb off of a live animal. When was that ever done? What idiot would do that? I mean, it's like, what, are you going to just take a leg of a chicken and I don't need the whole chicken, I just want to leg it? Are you fucking kidding me? It makes me wonder, what the fuck's wrong with these people? Where would that even come from? But these are the laws of Noah, and I don't really have a problem, like I said, with this first list that I found. Not really a problem with it. I see some of it as redundant, that we could pretty much eliminate a lot of this to being don't be an asshole. But because the aspect of believing in a God or respecting a God, sit and spin. Because I'm not going to believe in something without evidence, and I'm not going to respect something or someone that conducts itself in the manner that the God of the Bible does. Screw you. That's not how I operate. It's just no. And if a God would exist, I would look at it and my big question would be, was religion a test to see basically, would you be an asshole and go along with something because you think it would be what a God would want? Could that be the real test with this? That the God of the Bible, if something would exist, it would be, okay, I'm going to make a book that would have what I would regard as an absolute asshole and but I'm the God, so I can be an absolute asshole. And how many of these jackasses are going to go along with it? And then you get to this afterlife or whatever, and this thing look at you and go, and then you'd be, yep, I loved everything in that Bible. All right, you're a fucking jackass. Get away from me. It was a test, you failed. Whereas someone like me that would be, yeah, I read it, and I regard that God as a fucking dick. A total douchebag. And okay, come on in. Nothing like that book. That was a test. I was testing you fuckers. And be one of, all right, you didn't go along with the might makes right philosophy. You may actually be a decent person. And it would be a bit fucked up, but because other than that, I mean, for me, it would come down to, if there would be something, how would it behave? Because if it would engage in torture of any kind, I would have to look at it and go, no, you're a fucking jackass. And be one of, I don't care. I want no part of you. Because that goes against my morals. And I will not sacrifice my moral code for anything. Now, I won't do that to fit in with a group of people. I won't do that to fit in with a God of any sort. I just won't do it. It's why I walked away from Christianity at the age of 24. Because it was I realized, could I go along with this shit? And when I realized the answer is no, I knew that no matter what it made me, what it definitely made was I couldn't be a Christian because I can't go along with evil. But feel free to leave your thoughts and comments and what you think of these laws of Noah, both lists actually, and tell me your thoughts. Feel free to leave your thoughts and comments. Later, people.